Hello, once again, good day everyone. This is the Contemporary World Subject, and today we'll be talking about global demography and population. So, we are now done with global cities and global media cultures during our past discussions with the class. Okay, so this time we were talking about, like I said, last topic for the Contemporary World Subject, which is global demography and population. Okay, so let's start first with the definition of demography. Okay, so this is basic. Pagka sinabi nating demography, of course, we have two Greek words. Okay, demo or demos, referring to the people or the masses, and then graphy, referring to measurement. Okay, so when you combine demos plus graphos together, we would come up with the measurement of people or the determination of the number of people in a given area. Okay, so demography then is the statistical study of human populations. Okay, so demographical studies examines the size, okay, so structure and movements of population over space and time. So when we say space refers to the geographical areas, okay, borders and so on. When we say time, okay, so we are referring to that so-called time period, okay, or duration. So global demography then talks about the study of human populations across the world, or at least sa six continents wherein the majority or the bulk of people on Earth are residing or living or inhabiting in. Okay, so this is, I guess, something that is relatable sa inyo. Okay, so especially on the part of parents or parents like me, or for those students like you who would be planning to become parents 5 years from now, or perhaps later than that. Okay, so this is something that I can relate to, no? Specifically, the first statement. So sinasabi dyan, so when couples, okay, or partners, or even those who are not married. So when couples are asked why they have children, their answers are almost always about their feelings. Having a child is the symbol of a successful union or a successful marriage if legalize yung union na tinatawag. And at the same time, it also ensures that the family will have a uh, successor generation that will continue its name. Now, however, there are few who worry how much strain a child can bring to the household as she competes for the parents' attention and how much energy the family needs to shower its love to an additional member. Moving on to the next slide. So rural communities, okay, especially for those who have gone on or are living sa mga rural areas, they often welcome an extra hand or an extra pair of hands, okay, especially children, to help in cultivating crops, particularly during the planting and harvesting seasons. Okay, so there are also like areas or communities in urban centers who also have families with more children because, okay, they say that the success of their small family business depends on how many of their members can be like selling or hawking their wares on the streets later on. Now, for those who are, say, urbanized, educated, and professional families, okay, na may two incomes, okay, so both parents are perhaps, they have professions that they are practicing, okay, so they desire just one or two children naman or progenies na tinatawag. Okay, so you see now the disparity between, say, rural families who treat their children as an economic asset. And then you have the so-called urban families, the modernized, educated, and professional families who desire less than that because probably they tend to focus much over their careers or perhaps the welfare of their children over, something about, thinking about the sustainability of their generations. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag nating disparity between the rural families and the urban families for that matter. In connection to the so-called rural families, although we cannot discount din the fact that there are urbanized or highly educated and modernized families na nagde-desire din to have more than two children. Okay, especially kapag ka ang orientation sa families nila themselves ay no, the more the merrier. Okay, kasi perhaps these families also have their sights on long-term saving savings plan. Okay, so again, this is true to those urbanized or educated or modern families, no? na they set aside significant parts of their income, okay, for their retirement, healthcare, and the future education of their children. However, the rural families, okay, view multiple children and especially large kinship networks, yung mga kamag-anak as critical investments. In contrast to that, urban families, okay, so however, may not have the same kinship network anymore because these couples tend to live on their own, okay, so without the support perhaps of their distant families, or because they move out of the farmland, and then usually the basic family unit that is left to deal with life's challenges on its own. So, okay, pero if you are decided on, moving out of the farmland or the rural areas to go to somewhere where you can practice your profession, of course you have to like depend on yourselves, and then you have nobody to depend on to begin with other than yourselves. Okay, sige. For me to just check if you are still with me, okay, can somebody na lang just read this particular three paragraphs?
These differing versions of family life determine the economic and social policies that countries craft regarding their respective populations. Countries in the less developed regions of the world that rely on agriculture tend to maintain high levels of population growth. Urban populations have grown, but not necessarily because families are having more children. It is rather the combination of the natural outcome of significant migration to the cities by people seeking work in the modern sector.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, Miss Jeda, would you mind like to state your perspective about what you understood about this?
It's a simple indication lang, sir, na people in the modern or in the urban population have higher population because of having more children, but because of the migration of people, sabi nga nila, the seeking na naghahanap ng trabaho. Kasi di ba, mapapansin natin sa places like Manila, concentrated yung tao. And it's not just because of having of families having more children, but also because of the people who have migrated dun po sa part na yun para maghanap nga ng trabaho. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for that, Jeda. No, that's particularly very much true, no? Hindi lang sa Manila but elsewhere. Okay, specifically sa mga major cities in the world over, simply because these big cities are often seen as the land of opportunities. Okay, so the opportunities are there, so we might as well take the chance. Okay, take the risk. Okay, move in there, and possibly we can find something there. Okay, that could work out for us, and then we could, fulfill our dreams. Okay, so when we do a certain number of years working there, so parang yun yung thought process involved why a lot of people or a lot of families are moving to this so-called cities. Okay, while yung mga bansa at mga syudad naman or yung mga provinces or mga towns na say they are regarded as the less developed regions of the world, and they tend to rely on agriculture, sila naman in contrast yung mga nagme-maintain ng high levels of population. In contrast to those people na nandoon sa mga syudad, of course, they are very much mindful about the hardships and realities of life. Okay? And so, therefore, they have decided na they should only be having one or two kids and that's it. Pero for and living in rural areas, hindi ganon ang thought process. Parang hindi ganon yung rationale nila, okay, behind their decisions to have more than two kids or two children for that matter. Kasi nga, gaya lang na point out natin sa mga previous slides, kids or children are often regarded as economic assets, okay, valuable economic assets wherein they are trusted to like continue or sustain the family business, or perhaps they could be serving as extra pair of hands sa pagkukultivate ng mga crops na tinatawag. So that's the disparity again between the rural and urban areas. So ngayon, as pointed out by Jeda in our in her reading kanina, so international migration plays a part behind the rise or the increase of population, specifically in urban areas. So today, 191 million live in countries other than their own. Okay, so these are the people who have migrated to other countries. Okay, so a bulk of these migrants or immigrants do come from third world countries such as China, India, the Philippines, and other countries in Latin America and perhaps Africa. So sinasabi pa dito, the United Nations project that over 2.2 million will move from the developing world to the first world countries. I guess this is merely a very conservative na estimate kasi we'll be having more than that, dahil na rin sa adverse impact of climate change, where people are forced to move out of their countries and homes, okay, to countries that will give them or that will hopefully provide them better opportunities and better chances of making it or surviving. Okay? So now let us begin our discussion about global demography, specifically the perils of overpopulation or yung dangers of overpopulation. Okay. Now, of course, merong beauty ang population growth, kasi nga, especially sa mga countries na may mga aging or old population like Japan, South Korea, yung mga bansa sa Europa, okay, so they have declining or aging population for that matter. So, population growth is a welcome thing or a welcome development for them. And the thing about population growth for the vast majority of countries in the world, it can be seen as a pain or something that is disadvantageous or very perilous simply because, okay, it can be associated to further problems or further complications later on, like perhaps yung over urbanization and industrialization that would of course be something that would endanger the environment and something like that. No, now, dahil sa population growth na tinatawag, I would want to introduce a statement or a quotation from Thomas Malthus. So I want you to take note of this. And ang sabi ni Thomas Malthus regarding population growth, human population increases geometrically while food production only increases arithmetically. So kindly confirm or kindly read whatever it is that you hear me say.
When population increases dramatically, when food production only increases dramatically.
Okay, so what do you understand about that, Jeddah?
Sa human population, since geometrical increases is often associated, sir, sa multiplication and arithmetic. Parang addition. Tama ba, sir? Addition.
Oo.
Yung isa, like significant yung increase. And yung isa naman, kung mag-i-increase man siya, meron lang stable na increase. Like, for example, kasi yung arithmetic like 5n.
Oo.
Ay, yung geometric 5n. Yung arithmetic, for example, is by 2s or by 3s. Parang something like that, sir.
Ano yung implication nito sa ano? Anyway, naka-point out naman dito sa second statement, no? So thank you for that, Jeddah, no? So ultimately, in relation to that statement from Thomas Malthus, no, population growth will inevitably exhaust world food supply. Although we cannot deny, no, na may mga advances in crop cultivation, so pagtatanim, okay, massive production of these crops, okay, turning forest lands into farmlands, okay, if only to accommodate the growing demands and needs for food ng growing population natin. Pero there will come a time that population growth will make ubos or parang ubusin din nila yung world supply na tinatawag. And ang projection pa ni Thomas Malthus, mangyayari daw ito sa middle ng 19th century, nangyari na yan. Okay, pero hopefully, due to like further advancements in crop and agriculture, okay, we can do something about, uh, maximizing yield for the crops that we are planting, pero at the same time also protecting our environment, making sure that we do not lose as much forest, okay? And then at the same time, the population or the growing population of the world are also well fed or napapakain sila 3 times a day or perhaps more than that. Okay? Pero yun nga yung perils or dangers ng population, in terms of its implication sa food production na tinatawag, yung sustainability ng future. Okay, can we still foresee a better future for all of us if in the first place, parang napaka-bleak naman or parang napaka-dark naman ng kinabukasan for all of us. Okay? Now, another thing about overpopulation, according to Paul Ehrlich, na sumulat ng libro na The Population Bomb, okay? So, in relation pa rin kay Thomas Malthus, ang sinasabi dito is that ang overpopulation, okay, in 1970s and 1980s, and I guess applicable pa rin siya hanggang sa ngayon, it will bring about global environmental disasters like the loss of forests, okay, yung pag-increase ng global temperatures, okay, and that would lead to stronger instances ng typhoons and other storms. Okay, so all of this would lead to food shortage, and then it would lead to scarcity, and then people would be killed because they were starved because of the lack or scarcity of food na tinatawag. Okay, so that's the perils of overpopulation. Pero, I just wanted to point out here as well that ang Earth natin, okay, the world that we are living in ay may certain carrying capacity lang. Pag sinabi natin carrying capacity, okay, the number of people na it can sustainably support in relation to the natural resources that our Earth has. Okay? So, ang sinasabi ng carrying capacity ay merely parang 10 billion people lamang. And then, as of the moment, we are already like 8 billion people na in the world. Okay? And increasing pa yan. So parang ang conservative projection is that ang sinasabi ng isang demographer or statistician, okay, the world population will stop at 10 billion people because, people will now become more aware of the perils of overpopulation. At the same time, they will be more knowledgeable as well about the use or the proper utilization of contraceptives and other forms of um, reproductive tools that would help them, like, prevent having more kids. Sa inyo ba, class? Okay, so ano ba yung ideal number of children dapat for like a certain family? For example, sa inyo, I'm not sure if you like see yourself having kids and having a family later on, pero I don't remove that from my imagination kasi sooner or later siguro or after your graduation or perhaps a year na you are into an employment later after graduation, magkakaroon na kayo ng mga sarili ninyong pamilya. Pero ano ba yung projection ninyo personally na bilang dapat ng kids na meron kayo? It's actually very nice, no? Pero sa amin kasi, alam mo yun, parang ako nung hindi pa ako nagkakapamilya, hindi pa ako nagkakaanak, parang nakikita ko yung sarili ko na magkakaroon ng, kasi ang yabang-yabang ko pa nun eh. Parang gusto kong magkaroon ng isang football team, na sa 12 or 11 kids, ganyan, and children. So ngayon, reality hit me very hard nung nagkaroon na kami ng isang anak kasi magastos naman talaga, no? Pero I'm not saying that we are poor. We are surviving, okay, for that matter. So nagkakasya naman. Pero the fact that meron ka ng isang anak and alam mo yun, napakagastos kasi you would have to spend for diapers and milk and medicines at for clinic checkups. Okay. So tapos naragdagan pa ng isa, tapos another round of gastos or another round of expenditures. Parang na-shatter yung dreams ko before na magkaroon pa ng more than two kids. Okay, for that matter, kasi realities are very much different when you are already having kids on your own or when you already have a family. But I'm not saying that you should be only having two kids or three kids, okay, and not more than that. No, I'm not saying that. Pero again, it depends on your capacity to like sustainably or to like sustain your family, make them not only survive but also to live comfortably kasi, no? So okay pa rin yung four. So long as you can, like sustain pa rin and make them live comfortable lives later on. I'm not discouraging you, Lynette. You can have four. Okay, pero it's your body, it's your choice, pero mahirap manganak, Lynette.
Kakayanin ka.
Okay, sige, sige, sige. Sige na nga. Okay. Okay, ngayon, in relation pa to this, okay, so, ah, dala na rin ng overpopulation, ano, so maraming mga recommendations ang Senate or ng decided upon by countries, ano, in order to discourage families from having more kids. And in case for those countries na may mga declining or aging population, recommendations naman on how to like bring about population growth naman in their respective countries. Okay, so for countries, ano, yung recommendations for overpopulation and for underpopulation ay ganito. So it can be ranging from the bizarre, chemical castration. Okay, so both women and men are should be undergoing like castration. Okay, so another would be policy oriented. So perhaps kapag ka nagkaroon ka ng additional kid, you would be paying more taxes kasi nga additional child would mean like more taxes for you to pay. Luxury taxes din ang sineset, okay, for child-related products. So it would these countries had made it a point to make uh, child rearing or yung pag-aalaga or pagkakaroon ng anak as expensive as possible in order to discourage people from having more kids. So I think that this was implemented in China way back nung nag-introduce sila ng tinatawag nilang one child policy, ano, kasi nga very overpopulated ng China before. And China became successful with this mechanism kasi they were able to like minimize the population growth in their country. Kaya nga ngayon, China is now the country uh, with the second highest population. Of course, India is the top country na may pinakamaraming population nowadays. Okay, for countries naman na may mga declining population like Japan, South Korea, and most countries in Europe like Italy and Germany and France, ano, they are giving they are like giving kids, they are like giving monetary incentives naman, no, for the parents to have kids. Pero there are countries naman na nagbibigay ng monetary incentives na especially sa mga bansa na overpopulated na, no. So binabayaran nila yung mga lalaki na na magpa-sterilize, okay, after having two children. Sterilize referring to, you know, the process of undergoing vasectomy. Okay? Or in cases naman ng say India at iba pang mga bansa, yung institution building naman na tinatawag na, nagbe-build sila ng tinatawag nilang Department of Population and Environment. Kasi these two things, like population and environment, are interconnected with each other. Now, by limiting the population, vital resources, natural resources like those commodities that we have, crops, gas, oil, and others, could be used for economic progress instead and not to be diverted and wasted to feeding more mouths. Okay? So itong argument na ito, no, became the basis for government population control programs worldwide. So this is true for China and Bangladesh even and Nigeria. So in case naman ng Philippines, China, and India, so they sought to lower birth rate on the belief that the expansion of family members would lead to a crisis in resources, which in return may result in widespread poverty, mass hunger, and of course, political instability. So medyo totoo ito, ano, kasi kapag ka marami talagang mga tao, okay, or overpopulated ang isang bansa, talagang magkakaroon tayo ng problema sa poverty. Kasi nga gaya na na-point out natin sa mga previous slides natin kung sino pa yung mga say less well-to-do na mga or less privileged na mga families or mga individuals, sila pa yung mga mas maraming mga anak. Okay, so they tend to be more productive in having more kids than the ones that are say educated or professional or urbanized. Okay? So, dahil sa problema sa poverty, nagkakaroon tayo ng mass hunger, and then kapag kagutom ang mga tao, okay, nagkakaroon tayo ng political instability na tinatawag. Alright? Okay, kaya nga, as early as 1958, okay, so countries began to advocate for contraception and sterilization. Okay, contraception such as condoms, okay, pagbibigay ng birth pills, okay, pag-encourage sa mga bansa to like adopt abortion mechanisms and vasectomy for women. And most importantly of all, this is something that we would like to highlight here, ano, just like what I told Lynette kanina, giving you women or giving women the right to choose whether to have children or not. Okay, so gusto ko lang ano malaman like from your end ano as other than Lynette no. So who among you here does not desire to have kids in the near future?
Sir, ano po, gusto po yung higher po.
Ah,
May factors po ng
so isa lang. Okay. So sige. Okay, sige. So long as you have, of course, the means to sustain the family later on in the near future. And we have to emphasize here, of course, it's your body, your choice. Ultimately, it's you, not your husband, who can decide when or whether or not you would want to have more children or kids in the first place. Okay, so ito yung illustration natin kanina about China that had adopted yung one-child policy na tinatawag, no? So, yung in-exemplify natin kanina ng mga policy recommendations or policy mechanisms that were implemented by countries such as China, okay, ranging from yung forced sterilization kasi kapag ka ikaw ay violator, okay, kapag ka nagkaroon ka ng more than one kid or two kids or three kids, ganyan, you will be forced to undergo sterilization. So, either chemical castration or forced vasectomy, specifically sa mga violators. So Vietnam din, nag-conduct din ng tinatawag nating coercive mass sterilization for both women and men. If only masustain yung desire nila to have lesser population in their respective countries. So we also have this second phase of our discussion now. So it's the economy, not the babies. Okay, so ano naman ang tinutukoy nito? Now, kung sa first na phase or stage ng ating discussion, parang it would seem that the babies are the ones that are blamed for the dangers that economies the world over are suffering from now. Okay? Ito naman, sinasabi dito is that hindi ito kasalanan ng mga ng overpopulation, ng population, ng mga kids for that matter. Okay? Kasi gaya ng pointed out dito, the use of population control from forced castration to chemical castration all the way to the use of sterilization, it has its critics, okay, to prevent economic crisis. So ang sinasabi dito is that according kay Betsy Hartman, which is a woman, Hartman disagrees with the advocates of neo-Malthusian theory, and it accuses governments of using population control as a substitute for social justice and much needed reforms. Okay? So kung purely sisisihin mo lang kasi yung overpopulation as the reasons or the primary reason why nagkakaroon tayo ng economic crisis in the first place, like mass hunger, like starvation, like political instability, kung isisisi natin ang overpopulation over sa mga nangyayaring mga ganito, that should not be the case as pointed by Hartman. Kundi dapat ang talagang punan ng pansin or bigyan ng or pagtuunan ng pansin ay yung mga reforma or pagbabago in terms of land distribution, employment creation, and provision of mass education for the people as well as the provision of health care, specifically affordable health care. Okay, yung pinagdi-disagreean ni Hartman dito yung neo-Malthusianism, no, yung paggamit ng contraception, ano, in order to prevent population growth, and at the same time, very much essential ang contraception, yung paggamit ng condoms at iba pang mga forma ng contraception for the survival of the Earth's population. Okay? So in short, it's not the fault of the people themselves, or the people having more kids, but rather it is the system that is at fault here. Okay? Now, as I pointed out kanina, ano, so parang hindi naman nangyari yung parang worst nightmare ni Thomas Malthus about the world reaching its tipping point, or parang nagkaroon tayo ng Armageddon na tinatawag, ano, kasi hindi naman na-realize yung sinasabi niyang the world population will ultimately exhaust the world food supply. Kasi nga, nagkaroon pa rin tayo ng advances in agricultural production, okay? And this had this has proven that the projection of Malthus regarding overpopulation and exhaustion of the global food supply can also be prevented. Okay? So, ang tawag dito ngayon ay yung Green Revolution. And the Central Luzon State University, okay, for the realization of Green Revolution in the country has been very much instrumental, ano, sa pag-craft or paggawa or pag-imbento ng mga certain varieties of rice and other cereals, specifically rice, ano, na nagbibigay ng mataas na harvest or yield. Okay, and also through the College of Agriculture here in the countries, in the university and other specialized centers, R&D centers in agriculture, okay, nagkaroon din tayo ng development of new methods of cultivation that had increased yields, specifically rice, globally. Okay? So between 1950 and 1984, nagkaroon tayo ng global grain production increase, okay, by over 250%. So allowing agriculture to keep pace with population growth, thereby keeping global famine under control. Okay, now I know that there may be perhaps purists sa part ninyo, no, ng mga estudyante who would not want to eat like yung mga GMO. Kung familiar kayo sa mga genetically modified na mga plants, okay, so I mean these are plants, or these are like crops that were modified in order to like give them more characteristics that perhaps could be able uh, these plants to withstand drought, okay, mga pests at iba pang mga insekto, okay. So, ang pinaka-key daw for the like sustainability of population in the world is yung paggamit ng mga ganitong klase ng technology, no, para makaagapay din sa pag-increase ng population. Okay, so that's all part and parcel of what we term as the so-called green revolution. Okay, so scholars and policymakers agree with neo-Malthusians, but it also suggests that if governments, okay, specifically for the Philippines, pursue population control programs, they must also include more inclusive growth, okay, for the population, like perhaps paglalaan ng reforma sa healthcare, sa education, at iba pa. And at the same time, yung economic growth na din natin ay kailangan na sustainable din with the future in mind, and at the same time, make also our economic growth greener as possible. Okay? Kasi if we only care about progress, walang mangyayari sa atin if we only think of progress, pero at the same time, we are not thinking about the sustainability of the future generations to come. Women and reproductive rights. Okay, so women are often subject of these population measures. Okay, kasi ang old thinking before is that sila naman ang nanganganak. So, kapag sila ang nanganganak, so sila dapat ang maging subject natin for these so-called population measures, ranging from surgical methods all the way sa non-invasive or non-surgical methods. So yung mga supporters ng reproductive rights for women, specifically for the right to like choose, okay, right of choice na tinatawag, argue that if population control and economic development were to reach their goals, women must have control over whether they will have children or not. So you should not be forced to have kids. Kasi ang thinking before is that just because you're a woman, you should be having kids. And parang ang stereotype dito is that kapag ka wala kang anak, parang ang pangit ng tingin sa'yo, parang ang napaka-negatibo ng tingin sa'yo ng lipunan. Okay? And of course, we have to emphasize here that the choice to have kids ay ultimately nakadepende sa babae. Okay? So when you will be having your progenies or kids, because after all, you also have to pursue your respective professions or vocations. Okay. Anyway, this correlation between family and fertility and fortune has motivated countries with growing economies to like introduce or strengthen their reproductive health laws, including yung introduction ng abortion na tinatawag. Okay, so sa Pilipinas, of course, there have been like various measures that were introduced by lawmakers in the country, legalization of abortion. Pero since we are a country that is predominantly Roman Catholic or Christian, so parang a lot of people are against it. Okay, kaya nga it would seem that the choices of women are very much limited now to undergoing like sterilization, to using of birth control pills and other measures. Pero ang abortion kasi, although it's a very negative thing, I guess this is also encouraged din sa ating constitution kasi parang it is allowed under certain circumstances. Okay? Ang tawag doon ay medical abortion. So women are allowed to undergo abortion if the one who is doing the abortion is a licensed doctor, and at the same time either the life of the mother is in danger or the life of the kid, I mean the life of the mother is in danger. Okay? So yun yung dalawang catch or dalawang conditions na po pwedeng i-allow yung tinatawag nating medical abortion. So if it's something that is done by a person that is not a medical doctor, then it is punishable by law. It is a crime. Tantamount to murder. Okay, so we can just browse this na lamang. So ultimately, ang ipo-point natin dito is that women are given the power of choice and easy access to reproductive technologies. Okay? The more educated a woman is, the better are her prospects of improving her economic position. Kaya nga, for those uneducated women, specifically those who are living in rural areas or rural communities, kailangan talaga ng massive education campaign. Okay, massive information campaign. So that's why we have DSWD and other agencies of the government that are going house to house in order to educate these households on how to properly manage their their houses or their household, okay, in order to deter them from having more kids, okay, for that matter. Okay, so these are like several mechanisms then introduced, okay, by several countries such as Ghana, okay, Bolivia. Okay, so ang Pilipinas din very much evident din yung ginagawang campaign ngayon ng government kasi parang it lowered the birth rate ng ating bansa. So tumataas siya pero not that much Okay, so actually ang Pilipinas ay mababa na ngayon ang birth rate natin. Meaning women are now having less births. Okay? Lesser significantly because they are far more educated on reproductive measures and others. And it's also a reflection of the success of the various mechanisms that were introduced in the country nung panahon pa nila Pinoy hanggang all the way kay Duterte. Okay, pero of course, meron ding mga opponents ng reproductive rights. Of course, understood na meron tayong religious wing na tinatawag who oppose everything that is considered by them as very progressive or liberal views. So the religious sector views abortion as a debauchery that destroys the name of God, and it will send the mother to hell and prevents the baby from becoming human. Kaya nga understood, 'di ba? Sa mga cemetery, sa mga sementeryo, parang yung mga namatay dahil sa abortion yata ay hindi inaalaw sa mga Christian cemeteries. I don't know if that's true. Okay, so there is unfailing pressure sa mga Christian groups, specifically for Poland, Croatia, Hungary, and Yugoslavia. Sa mga Muslim countries naman, okay, they do not allow abortion, and they also limit wives, okay, I mean the women, from performing their profession. So they are only limited to performing household work or household chores. Okay, the thing also about abortion is that ang Senegal, inaalaw din ang abortion when the mother's life is threatened. Okay, so this is also like very similar with the Philippines. Okay, although ang Philippines with the Catholic majority has a reproductive health law, kaso nga lang, due to conservative politicians, okay, nagkakaroon tayo ng budget cuts sa mga measures that they think are anti-Catholic or anti-Christian. So parang very backward pa rin yung progress ng Pilipinas, ano, kung patuloy pa rin na ganito yung view natin, ano, conservative policies. Okay, so sorry. So last number, okay, population growth and food security. Again, this is similar to the statement of Thomas Malthus kanina regarding the connection between population growth and food security. Okay, so as we can see here, okay, so ang global population now ay nasa 8 billion. It's no longer 7.9 billion. And it is estimated to increase to about 9.5 billion in 2050, then 11.2 billion by 2100. This is the projection. Pero ang sinasabi nila is that it will not reach beyond 10 billion. Okay. So 95% of this population growth will happen in poorer parts of the world, particularly yung mga developing countries, most particularly in the continent of Africa and South Asia. Okay. So, middle of this century, the 21st century, by 2050, these countries in the developing parts of the world will have tripled their population. So, ano ha? So, India, okay, so just like illustrated here in the graph or in the chart, okay, India ang may pinakamalaking population ngayon with 1,425,800. Basta, something like that. Mahina ako sa numbers. Followed by China, and then United States, and then Indonesia, Pakistan, and then of course, pang number 13, lucky 13 ang Pilipinas with around 115 million, pero 118 million na siya as of this moment. Okay, the decline in fertility and the existence of a young reproductive population, however, may not be enough to offset this concern over food security. Okay, so there are fears that ang food production kailangan mag-increase by 70% para lamang ma-mitigate or ma-lessen yung impact ng high population growth specifically sa developing parts of the world. Kaya nga ang Food and Agriculture Organization nagre-recommend na yung mga bansa sa mundo should increase their investments in agriculture to promote higher yield for the crops, craft long-term policies aimed at fighting poverty, and of course, invest in research and development. Pero problema is that our lawmakers in the Philippines sometimes questions research. Research kayo ng research, anong magagawa niyan? Ang sabi ng isang senador na chair ng Committee on Agriculture ng Philippine Senate. So the UN body also suggests that countries develop a comprehensive social service program that includes food assistance, health services, and education, especially for the poor. Okay. And the Food and Agriculture Organizations, okay, encourages governments to keep their markets open, and they should make it a point that they should be contributing toward a dependable market for food as well. So these are, of course, worthy recommendations, but countries should need the political will to push through these changes in population growth and food security. Otherwise, walang mangyayari sa atin, okay? Puro tayo recommendations kung in the first place naman, masasayang din ito kasi walang political will yung mga political leaders na meron tayo sa atin. So it's only a question of time. It's too early pa naman to say that the presidency or the administration is a failure. Okay? Kasi we still have a lot of years to spend with him, and at the same time, we can only hope for the best for our country and for the sustainability of the generations to come. After all, at the end of the day, we are all in this sinking ship together. Lahat naman tayo lulubog. Pero kung may political will yung mga leaders natin, they should be the ones that who would help us keep afloat in this tumultuous or turbulent times. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Contemporary World Subject, and we are now done with our discussion. This is the last topic that we had.